A startling discovery. The wind howled through the village, rattling the thatched roofs like restless spirits. The night was thick, heavy with silence, yet something stirred beneath it, something faint, something wrong. A man's eyes snapped open. The warmth beside him was gone. The bed was empty. A rustling sound drifted through the open window. The breath caught in his throat. The wind? Or something else? Bare feet met the cool earth as he rose, moving carefully. Each step measured, each movement slow. Outside, the night stretched wide, its belly full of whispers. Footsteps. The wind carried them, light but certain. A shape moved ahead, slipping between shadows, gliding toward the edge of the homestead. He followed, heart pounding against his ribs like a war drum. The air was thick, pressing against his skin, but he did not stop. He could not stop. By the coop, the shape halted. The moon reached down, silver fingers brushing over smooth skin, casting sharp lines across a familiar face. But something was wrong. The hands were not tending to the chickens. They moved over the earth, tracing lines, drawing patterns only they seemed to understand. The fingers danced, a whisper, soft, urgent, foreign. The ground beneath her hand trembled, shifting, moving, listening. The breath caught in his throat. What was this? The whispering grew, winding through the air like smoke, twisting, curling. The earth shuddered, obeying her command. The night held its breath, then she stopped. Stillness. Her head tilted. Not toward the sky, not toward the ground, toward him. The wind howled again, but it was not enough to mask the sharp gasp that escaped his lips. Did she hear? Did she see? The shadows reached for him, and he stumbled back, pressing himself into the darkness. His pulse thundered in his ears. The night swallowed him whole. The whispering had stopped. But the night was still listening. The morning arrived like any other, soft light spilling over the village, the scent of firewood curling through the air. Inside, steady hands moved with practiced ease, grinding, stirring, preparing. A familiar hum floated above the quiet crackle of the fire. A tune simple, soothing. A song he had heard many times before. He watched. The hum did not falter. The hands did not tremble. No trace of the night remained on her face. His own hands tightened around the wooden bowl in front of him. Had he imagined it? The shifting earth, the whispering voice, the turning head? She turned, a warm smile, a soft gaze. Eat. The food sat untouched before him. The hum continued. The breath that left his lips was slow, measured. The night had been real. He knew it. 3 years. 3 years she had been here. The woman everyone adored. The woman who had brought warmth to his home, laughter to his days. Generous, kind, hardworking. What more could a man ask for? And yet, the night whispered differently now. The village bustled as always, voices rising in cheerful greetings, the air thick with the scent of roasting maize. He moved through it with careful steps, his ears open, his questions light. A passing comment here, a casual remark there. Laughter followed every answer. A good wife, a blessing to this village. She never speaks ill of anyone. A hard-working woman. You are a lucky man. The words rolled over him, warm and reassuring, but the warmth did not reach his chest. Then an elder's voice, rough with age. Sometimes the quiet ones carry the loudest secrets. The old man's eyes held something unreadable, something heavy. The air shifted, the breath in his lungs felt shallow. That night, the house settled into darkness. The fire dimmed, the night stretched wide once more. He lay still, waiting. Would she leave again? The hum was gone, the house was silent. His eyes remained open, his breath barely moved, waiting. Would she leave again? The test had begun. The night was thick, the air dense with silence. But silence was never truly empty. It carried the rustling of leaves, the whisper of wind, the soft shift of footsteps against the earth. She moved. He followed. Each step was careful, each breath controlled. The path stretched deeper than before, past the familiar edges of the village, past the trees that had always stood like silent guards. The darkness swallowed her, but he did not let it swallow him. She stopped. A stone lay before her, old and worn, its surface cracked with time. She knelt, her hands pressing against it, her head bowed. Then came the whisper, low, urgent, strange. The words curled into the air, thick with meaning he could not grasp. The wind did not carry them away, the earth did not swallow them. They stayed, twisting around her, clinging to her skin. Something stirred. A shape moved beyond the trees, stepping forward, slow and deliberate. Small, but wrong. Its form bent where it shouldn't, its limbs too thin, its eyes red. The glow cut through the dark, piercing, unblinking. It did not walk. It glided. The whispering stopped. The thing lifted its hands, a bundle wrapped in cloth. She reached out. No hesitation, no fear. She took it. A heartbeat pounded in his ears, his own. His breath was too loud. The creature's head snapped toward him. The red eyes locked onto the shadows where he hid. The air tightened. The voice that followed was not soft, not warm, not familiar. Who's there? The trees loomed too tall. The ground stretched too wide. He ran. The wind chased him, thick with the sound of something moving, something shifting. Faster. The house stood in the distance. A light flickered inside. Safety. Home. The night held its breath. He made it. Morning came. The fire crackled. The scent of fresh food filled the air. She hummed. She smiled. But her eyes watched too closely. Too long. Too knowing. Did she know? The hum did not stop. The whispers of the night had not faded. They clung to him, coiling around his thoughts like vines too thick to untangle. Sleep did not come. Only the echo of glowing eyes and the sharp sound of her voice in the dark. Morning found him restless. The village bustled as it always did, laughter, voices, the steady rhythm of life. But now the faces seemed different. Did they know? Had they always known? The elder sat in the shade of the great baobab, his fingers tracing the lines of old carvings in the wood. He did not lift his head when the question was asked. "The forest is old," came the answer. "Older than us. There are things that have lived in its shadows long before men gave it a name." A pause. "Some women walk among us but do not belong to us." The words settled like dust in the air. The elder turned his gaze, sharp and knowing. "You ask too late." The path back home felt longer. The house stood where it always had, but now it felt like a shell. Walls that held something unseen, something waiting. Night stretched its hands over the village. She moved as she always did, her steps light, her eyes soft. But he saw it now. The weight behind the smile, the pause between words. She left their bed when the hour was late. The door closed behind her. The fire flickered, casting long shadows as he moved. The chest sat in the corner, undisturbed. Her belongings lay inside, folded with careful hands. But beneath the cloth, beneath the layers of things meant to be seen, there was something else. His fingers brushed against it. The bundle was small, the cloth thick. He unwrapped it, slow, cautious. Then he saw it, dried, shriveled. Not human, not beast, something between. The weight of it pressed against his palm. Wrong, it should not be. It should not exist. A shift in the air. The doorway darkened. She stood there, no words, only silence. Then a step forward. "What are you looking for, husband?" The voice was smooth, but the edge was there, hidden beneath the softness. His hands closed over the cloth. A laugh escaped him, light, careless, empty. Nothing. The moment stretched. Then she smiled. She turned, walking back into the night. The breath he had been holding finally left him. He had to leave. Before morning, a terrifying revelation. The night had not yet lifted, but the air was thick with urgency. Every breath carried weight. Every movement held hesitation. The bag was packed, light, only what mattered. The door opened without a sound. A single step, then another, then stillness. She stood before him. No anger, no surprise, just waiting. You should have stayed ignorant. The earth shifted beneath his feet. A low rumble, deep as a drumbeat from the underworld. From the shadows, they came. Silent, patient, unblinking. Their eyes burned red against the darkness. Not one, not two, many. The same as the one in the forest. The same as the one who had given her the bundle. The truth settled cold in his chest. She was not human. She never had been. How long? The question barely found his voice. She tilted her head, studying him as if deciding whether the answer mattered. Long enough. A step closer. The others did not move. We are older than the trees, older than the rivers that shape the land. We have lived in the spaces between, unseen, unknown. Another step. We feed on what is hidden, what is buried, the secrets men lock away, the fears they do not name. The village gives, we take. The ground felt unsteady beneath him. And me? Her smile did not reach her eyes. You saw. The creatures did not blink. Now you must choose, forget or join us. Silence. The weight of a choice he could not make. Then no. The word was barely out before he moved, feet pounding against the earth, a desperate dash toward the only place he could think of. The elder, the baobab, the wisdom that might hold an answer, but she was faster, a whisper of movement, a shift in the air, her hand pressed against his forehead, soft, cold, final. Words slipped from her lips, curling through the night. The world spun, the ground vanished, darkness swallowed everything. The vanishing memory. Morning light slipped through the cracks, soft and golden. The air smelled of warm food, of home, of familiarity. A hum drifted from the cooking pot, gentle, steady. His heart pounded. Something was wrong. The feeling gripped him before his eyes even opened. A weight on his chest, a whisper at the edge of his mind. He sat up. The room was the same. The walls, the floor, the woven mat beneath his feet. Everything where it should be, except the bag. Packed. Ready. Why? The hum continued, a soft clatter of bowls, a warm smile waiting for him. Eat, my love. You must be tired. The words felt familiar yet distant, like an echo of something he had heard before, somewhere he had been before. Hadn't he? A nod, a slow reach for the food, the warmth of it against his fingertips, but the question would not leave. Why had he packed? Outside, voices rose in morning greetings. Laughter, chatter, the village alive as it always was. Good wife. Kind woman. A blessing to us all. Every word wrapped around him like vines, pulling him deeper into the comfort of routine, and yet, something beneath it stirred. A feeling he could not name. A truth just beyond his reach, a stolen memory, a vanishing fear. The hum continued. The village thrived. Laughter wove through the air, children ran barefoot, chasing the wind. Fires burned, pots simmered, voices rose in song. Life continued, untouched. The shadows beneath the trees stretched long, but no one looked twice. No one questioned the whispers carried by the wind. No one noticed the eyes that sometimes gleamed in the dark. Some truths were never meant to be found. A husband sat in his home, staring at nothing. His hands were steady, his heart calm. There was no reason for fear. Was there? The wind howled at night. Sleep came, but never peacefully. Dreams curled around him like smoke, shapeless, reaching, gone before he could grasp them. A voice echoed in the wind, soft, familiar, but he did not remember. Somewhere in the hush of the night, another voice hummed, gentle, steady. Adwa never forgets, and she is still watching.